Okay, we're going to run through some Fleabay stuff this morning, and I'm going to do things just a little bit different. I'm very quickly going to go through some of these new listings that I haven't looked at, that have just appeared since basically yesterday morning, and then I want to go into my watch list because I saved a whole bunch of parts that are newly manufactured parts that are being put out there, and I just wanted to compare them a little bit and show a couple little future projects and things. The other thing is we have Atlas vice jaws are done for the milling attachments. We have aluminum ones in 6-inch, so now we have the 10-inch, now we've got the 10 and 12-inch, now we've got the 6-inch, and then we have steel vice jaws here. And these are the steel ones. They've been machined out and then run through my bluing tanks. Of course, they're the same as the standard ones. One set is V'd out both ways and the other is a solid block. So got a limited run of these. I have them both in 10 and 12-inch and then in 6-inch also. So we'll see how popular they are. They're a little more expensive, and we'll just see what they're going to do, if it's worth building more. Or I will probably continue to keep these in stock. Availability may be somewhat limited just because I don't feel they're that popular an item. I think the aluminum ones are actually a more versatile accessory. You know, I consider them to be a disposable item, you know, consumable. So when you wear them out, you replace them, they're cheap enough. So anyway, we'll touch on those a little bit later because I think I've got a couple of these saved. Anyway, we look at Atlas milling machines. There's a new listed MFB mill here. They're wanting $3,000, and I believe this is a local pickup only. And all the description says is Atlas MFB horizontal milling machine. Now this is from a seller that's got a little bit of feedback. I don't necessarily recognize him, but let's look at the big pictures here only because I want to move through this stuff. This machine actually looks pretty good. Now it does have a set of index centers, and the main things I'm going to pick out is the stuff that I see that's been changed, like this handle on this index head is not proper, you know, so they've changed that out. And I'm kind of nitpicking on this because there's nothing really bad with this machine. I don't see anything really wrong with it, but there's some things that are not original that have been changed on it. Now looking at this first picture, it appears that this shaft has probably been replaced. There's no paint on it and it's awful shiny for it being what it is. So looking at this, it can maybe be a little bit misleading. This is this has got the later guards on it, and this machine is basically complete. All the handles appear to be intact. It's got a table kick out on it, which I believe is a shop made pickup. I don't believe that's original. They were a little bit different than that. Next picture shows the table. Now we're seeing some flaking on this table. I do not, in all honesty, believe that a Atlas machine of this age is going to have flaking on the top of the table. I think this has probably been done by somebody, you know, good, bad, otherwise. I just don't think it's original, you know, and this kind of gives the appearance that this machine is just pristine, and it's realistically not, you know. It's there, as I said before, these are all used and abused machines. Got an arbor. I would guess that's a 1-inch arbor, although I can't be sure. And there's really not quite enough information on this machine to tell us everything we want to know. It's relatively clean. You know, you see a lot of these that are really rusted up, these overarm support bars, and this one's not, you know, too bad. And I think things on this machine have been cleaned up. Got some cutters. It appears there's 3 cutters. There's one mounted on the arbor, and then there's these 2 arbors that are with it, some sort of a wrench. Now this is a shop built arbor. I don't believe this is factory. I got a lot of rust on the outside, you know, not probably going to affect function, but I don't believe this is, I'm sure that's not a factory part. That's somebody's built up arbor or machined arbor for it. This is an earlier machine that's not set up for a overarm support bar, you know, that goes top to bottom. And I think we can see on the little spigot that it would normally attach to. This has got the earlier style spigot that's tapered, and we don't have any holes in this to mount that arbor support for. So this is kind of one of those middle of the road machines. I kind of wish we had a picture of the serial number, but one's not included here as I remember. Now this rubber guard has been added, so somebody's drilled this on top and put it, and it looks like a good job. Normally behind to protect the ways on this there was just a sheet metal part that went up and down between the column, and then there's one underneath on the knee. Earlier headstock, or the headstock that still had this boss cast into it for this little door. Looks like this is a greaser that somebody's added into it, so they've added grease to this. That's obviously not factory. These were oiled originally. And see, this would be the little sheet metal guard. There's one here that goes underneath on the knee, and then there would have been one here to protect the elevator screw. This is somebody's aftermarket drawbar, home-built drawbar, because the factory drawbar and the ones that I reproduce are a stud drawbar. They don't have nearly that much of a square cut on them. Looks like the C model guards, the 401C, I believe, or 401B, I believe is the number for the third generation on those. 401 and 402. I think the top is 401 and the side guard's 402. Could be wrong, but I believe that's right. Original motor, and it looks clean. I mean, this whole machine looks pretty clean. This is not a bad machine, but nothing new and exciting in that picture. And I guess that's the last picture. But if we go back here, we can see the guard that's on here. It looks like the back gear lever back in here looks to be original. I'm not sure that knob's actually original to it, but all in all, good clean machine. Is it worth $3,000? I don't think so. I think in this condition with the index attachment, see, we don't get a picture, and this has got a U.S. patent tag down on the bottom of that third tag that usually signifies to me that's somebody's control number. It went to probably military or government of some sort. Usually this has been my assumption or my observations over the years of these. So all in all, not a bad machine. Is it worth $3,000? No, I don't consider them to be. In this condition with the index head, I would say this is about a $1,800 machine, and I'm getting a little more generous on the way I valued these machines because we're seeing a lot more of them, and it's just what the market will bear. Now, I would speculate somebody may give that $3,000 for it. I think it's too much. I would speculate this probably will sell here for 23 to 25, maybe. Would be what I would think the market is. What I think actual value is about 17 or 18. Market on Fleabay, 23, maybe 25, but they're wanting 3 for it. Anyway, I'm spending too much time here. 618 milli attachment tailstock handle M6-23. I'm not going to go in and look at it. $60 and $665 shipping. I'm actually looking for one of these, but I will not give $66 for it. To me, these handles are worth about, in this condition, about 40 bucks, and this is a good looking handle. And then we're back into milling attachments. New, no box. This crap. Excellent original Atlas Craftsman 6-inch 618 milling attachment, $325 and $29.99 shipping. This is about a $200 attachment. And then we're down into stuff that we've looked at or we've seen in the past that we don't need to go back and look at again. We look at shapers. There's some interesting things here. These I think were a new listing yesterday. Pair of Atlas 7B shapers, $3,500. Buy it now, free local pickup. There again, we're $1,000 to $1,500 overpriced on these. We can go and look at them and pick them up here. And this is a seller that's got a fair amount of feedback. They've been dealing in stuff. One is complete with original vise, belt covers, oil tray, stand, 110 volt motor and wrench. The other is same minus stand and vise. Both need major cosmetic cleaning but are in good mechanical and physical condition. Contact directly for more info. And then they've added their phone number, which is a violation of eBay's policies, I believe. So let's just look at I think they've just got the one picture on here. Yeah, they've just got the one picture, so we can kind of pick these apart from what they are. These are rusted up pieces of crap. That's what these are, rusted up pieces of crap. I would value this machine right here, right off the top of my head, at about $1,000 bucks. and the one in the back probably about the same, 800. Well, probably 1,000 or 1,200 only because it's got the stand. Otherwise I would value the machine itself at about 800. So we can't really get in here and look at them real close, but let's start at this front machine. We got a big scarf across the top of the table here. Now, why they've done that, somebody's cut that with something. I mean, that realistically can't even be a shaper induced gouge in there. Somebody's cut that, done something there. It's all rusted up. I mean, I don't know if we can see anymore. Yeah, we can see a little bit more. Let's start. This has got somebody's stand, which is neither here nor there. And this guy's dealing in Atlas machines, at least to a certain degree. This is a machinery dealer. There's an Atlas hand wheel of something sticking out there that's all rusted to crap. These are rusted up pieces of junk. Look at the big scarf across the top of the table. Looks like the feed mechanism is intact, but you can't tell what it is or how it is. It's got an original tool holder there, but all of this is rusted up. That top hand wheel looks to be broken. I don't see maybe I'm just missing it, but I don't see the other handle sticking up there, so that's going to be busted off. I mean, the machine looks okay. It'd be a good restoration, but it's not worth more than about 800 bucks. Maybe 1,000 on a good day, but I wouldn't give 1,000 for it. The other machine, no tool holder. Sides of the table haven't been drilled. Same way, feed mechanism, you can see a little bit, but not enough to make a informed decision. It's the one that looks like it's got both guards. Yeah, for the pair of these, he's about $1,500 overpriced. At $3,500 there, they might be worth $2 for both of them, but no more than that. Okay, now this is a seller that's been around. This is a rip-off seller right here, and he's got several things listed, which is the only reason I'm really slowing down for these. Metal shaper tool holder, Atlas 7-inch 7B, South Bend, Amoco, Logan, other, pre-owned, $249.95 and $895 shipping. This will be an internal tool holder. This is a shop-built tool holder, is all this is. And is there anything in the description? Will combine shipping. Yep, another one of those should be hand-delivered them for the price you're wanting for them. Big pictures only. Shop-built tool holder. This is nothing factory. Welded here, which I talked about building these this way, and I may build a couple of these to replicate the original ones. Got a bar. This is all shop-built. Another view of it. You want to do one of these, do a shop project. Spend an afternoon in the shop, build one of these up. This is a welded joint here. I was looking at it closer earlier, and that's what you got. This is worth 25 bucks, and he wants 249 for it. I mean, if you really don't want to spend the time doing it, and you just want to buy something that is going to be functional, you could give 50 bucks for this, and that would be a okay deal. But 250, the guy's smoking dope. No way. And same seller, another one, Atlas multi-position. Now I believe this is a factory Atlas. He wants $250 and $895 shipping for it. And I'm sure the description doesn't tell you anything either. Atlas multi-position metal shaper tool holder 7B and other. Handle is 3/8 by 7/8. Well, there you've got the dimensions for what you need to build it. You got a 3/8 piece that's 7/8 of an inch wide this way. Let's look at the big pictures. 3/8 thick, 7/8 from here to here. And I'll tell you right now, this is a 1-inch boss on here if you want to build your own. So, and we'll go over that when I get to build one of those. We're in the shop working pretty hard on Atlas stuff, and I threatened to do one of these for quite a while. So anyway, big pictures. This is a factory one, and looking at it close, this is grungy. I mean, this is there's some rust on here. See, these were originally a forging, so you're not going to have a seam here. Potentially welding these up, a seam could be weaker, and you could break that unless you got real good penetration on it. But for the forces that these little Atlases put out, you can build one and have a good machine, or have a good tool for it. These are worth 75 bucks. You know, you'll see guys listing these for 100 or 150. They're worth 75 bucks if you're buying one. And that's being generous. Okay, I think I saved this one later on. This is the same seller. Vintage Atlas 7B 7-inch metal shaper vise S7-92A with original Fairmont handle. $499.95 and $27.97 shipping. I will tell you flat out, that original Fairmont handle is the best part of this whole setup. Yeah, and the description says the same thing, nothing more. Let's look at the big pictures only on this. This is probably the most ragged shaper vise that I have, Atlas shaper vise that I have ever seen. This is terrible. You look at this, we've been drilled out here. We're going to have to go back and look at the big, or the smaller pictures, I'm sure. When we look at it closer, the bed's been drilled. There's scarf marks across the top of the vise. There's gouge marks across both places where the vise jaws would go. This is a piece of shit, is what this is. Look at those. It's been drilled that way. See these scarf marks going across here. And this is a piece of shit. There's a better view of it too. Drilled in here, drilled here. This was used, from looking at it, this was used on a drill press, something like that, because otherwise you'd have problems with the shaper drilling 2 holes clear down to the bottom. You know, like I say, that handle's the best part of the whole thing, and they're worth 75 bucks. Chewed up here. Yeah, this is a piece of shit. Now, one of the things you want to remember on these is, you know, these were mass produced to be a low-cost alternative to something that was out there, or a low-cost accessory for on the shaper. So tolerances between the lead screws and all of that would have been okay at the factory, but they wouldn't have been a nice tight vise anyway. After they've been around for 50, 75 years, these things are wore out. There's going to be end play like crazy. This vise is going to be all chewed up. This is a piece of shit. You know, don't buy this junk from these guys. That vise is, that thing's worth 100 bucks. You know, we'll be generous and say it's worth 150 bucks because you're getting $75 worth of handle. And that's all we got. You go on down, he's got the clapper assembly for 300 bucks and stuff like that. It's the same seller, same ripping you off just as much. Just pass on all that stuff. Okay, let's look at lathes real quick. Used 10-inch lathe reverse shift collar, $53.95. Now, vintage Atlas Craftsman 10-inch metal lathe forward reverse gearbox, and this is one that's being parted out. There's several parts here. $229.95 for this forward reverse gearbox. This thing's a deteriorating piece of shit, is what this is. You know, that's rusted up, rusted on there. That's a Zamac handle there. It's gonna fall off and break the first time you try and use it. Maybe not quite, but I mean, this is a piece of junk. I guess we could look at the big pictures here. This is worth 50 bucks, is what this is worth. You're going to try and get $229 for this piece of crap. And see, this gear is so much cleaner than the rest of it. This is another gear that was laying around and they've slammed on there probably. You know, it doesn't go with that. Compare that gear to that gear. You know, I mean, if you've taken the time to wash up this one and put it back on here, you would have taken the time to wash the rest of the gearbox so it looked halfway presentable. You know, this is parts that were laying around. Junk. All that is junk. Now, there's two more things here and then we'll go on. We see these quite a bit. New listing, original Atlas Craftsman 10-12-inch metal lathe, 10F9A apron casting, number 2. So he's parted out more than one machine. $19.95 and $13.10 shipping. You know, these castings are probably worth 20 bucks, but it says right here, excellent working condition. Excellent. Excellent working condition. So we'll just, well, does he say anything in the description? Original 10-12 in excellent working condition. But look at the pictures. This is the one you'll receive. These things are wore out. Now, these can be functional. You can make these functional again, but you're going to have to go in all these holes that are in here. You're going to have to go back and rebush those. You know, after, there again, same thing, 30, 40, 50 years, 75 years, these things are wore out on the internal bores, so you've got to plan on going back and rebushing them. And I'm looking at the bore on that center one. It looks like it's a little ogled there. You know, that one is worn on the outside. The lever that would be there has, or the knob is set in off center, which indicates to me that probably it's wallowed out enough that it's, when you've lifted, pushed, pulled on that, why it's pulled it off center and just wore it more. These are wore out. They're wore out. They're junk. I'm not going to look any farther than that. The only other thing is here, vintage lathe crossfeed screw dial assembly, hand wheel part, South Bend Atlas, $79 with no bids and $22.45 shipping. Another perfect example. And this isn't a bad looking part for 80 bucks, but it says, you read the description that says, I am unsure of the exact maker or model of this lathe part fits. I think it is a cross-feed screw dial for the South Bend or Atlas metal lathe. Please do your own research. Well, if I have to do my own research and you don't know what you're selling, it's worth 20 bucks. It's worth 20 bucks is all it's worth. Now, it's not an Atlas. You know, although it's got a couple of appearances of Atlas, I would guess maybe it's a South Bend, but I don't know. It's worth 20 bucks. I don't care what condition it is. I don't care how good it looks. If you don't know what it is that you're selling, it's worth 20 bucks. Okay, so let's go into my watch list. There's a few things I wanted to look at here. And see what we've got here. Oh, I got a bunch of crap. I got to go through and clean this out. So, a lot of the parts that are being sold here is stuff that you can do in your own shop. And the other thing is, you don't have to, when I reproduce a part, I try and have it be a part that hopefully you can be proud to have on your machine. Now, maybe sometimes I fall short on that, and you know, you can look at the stuff that I sell and I put out there on the parts that I manufacture, and you can decide if that's something that you want on your machine. But the point is, you don't have to settle for what somebody's offering. You know, you're in control of this. So just because somebody's offering something, and even if they're offering it at a good price, if it's not something that you're going to be proud to put on your machine, then pass on it. Don't buy it. I don't care how cheap it is. Now, this is a seller that sells a lot of new parts, sells some used stuff too, but sells a lot of newly manufactured parts. And it may appear that I'm picking on him in this video, but I just want you to be aware of the quality that's out there and some of the reproduction stuff. And now the pictures that are out there, if they're giving you a good picture, why, you can tell if there's markings that you don't want on there, if it's not beyond what you consider to be acceptable, or if you've got too much chatter marks or something. On some things you're going to see some machine marks on them, and some things, to sell them for the price they're being sold for, whether it's from me or somebody else, there's going to be corners that are going to be cut to, you know, turn out a product so that the seller can still make a profit, and it's something that you can hopefully utilize on your machine. So this is going to be a perfect example. Now, I do these handles, and I've got to do another run of the outer handles here. This is the tailstock lever for the 10 and 12 inch. So, and these are made out of steel. I make mine out of stainless steel, and mine, I think, are normally in that $50 range. And reasons for that, stainless is pretty expensive right now especially, so we'll see how prices go on a lot of my stuff. But I produce both the handle and the overarm in stainless steel. We make some higher costs and materials are added in there, and then it's a little harder on tooling, you know, machine and stainless. So, and from this it looks pretty good. These are going to be plain steel, from what I understand from his description. But what I'm getting at is this going to be acceptable to you? Are those grinder marks going to be acceptable to put on the top of your machine that you're going to be looking at? So, you know, that's a little bit ragged. Now, this doesn't matter too much. It may not lock and release quite as smoothly, but this isn't as big a thing. But this one, me personally, I would have a problem giving $40 and whatever it is for this, $40.99 and another $6.75 shipping. So shipping's not out of line on these, but 41 bucks, you know, and it's the last one. He's sold one, got one left. So I don't know, you know, you're gonna have to make that decision yourself. So there's that. I can get back here to my list again. Okay. Quite a few Gibbs screw sets being sold here by a different seller that's got quite a bit of feedback. I've got some, and all of these are, no matter what Gibbs screws they are, why they're either a 1/4-20 or a 1032, depending on what machine they are, what size machine, and where they go. Dog point screws, and then they've got a thin washer on top of them. And I believe these are 1032s I've got here. Well, now we have them all over the office. So we'll spend a half an hour picking those up. But anyway, all over the place. There's going to be the 1032 thin nuts. These are done in black. You know, a lot of what you're seeing out there is plated, zinc plated. So I may have to take a break here and clean some of this up before the dog decides to come investigate. All right. So, and I won't go in and look at these. These are all the dog point screw. And I've got screws for some of these here. We're going to set up fixturing in the lathe, and we'll turn a dog point on those screws. The only difference you're going to see between both these screws and the screws that I'm going to produce for you is going to be the original screws had a slot head in them, and the ones that are being reproduced are going to be an Allen screw. They're going to have an Allen head in them, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. You know, at some point I may do screws that are original, but I really doubt it. I don't think there's a whole lot of sense in doing that. These will work just fine. So anyway, moving on. Atlas MFC mill, 1-inch arbor for a horizontal mill. Another dope smoker, and I think this is condition new. We've got 7 people watching this. I think for comedy relief as much as anything else, he wants $649. Buy it now or best offer, and $22.80. I think we've looked at these before, which I know we've looked at these before. These are shop built parts, and I mean, it looks very nice. Not going to be to the original print. This was cut with a on a vertical mill or with a standard end mill. The originals would have been cut on a horizontal with I believe it's a 3-inch wheel cutter, so you would see the run out on both ends where that cutter ended. Nice looking parts, you know, I mean, I don't have a problem with them, but are they worth $700 or $649? No way. 250 bucks on a good day is what this is worth. So that's what we got. Like I say, very nicely machined, assuming the machining's done, tapers are right, and all that stuff. I would guess this is probably CNC'd out, but it's worth 250 bucks. So anyway, there we go. Move on through some of this stuff here, because there was some interesting pieces. Atlas Craftsman 9 12-inch lathe, lead screw, 10F-16 washer and nut kit. $12.99 and $6.75 shipping. Atlas Craftsman 9 to 12-inch, and this is the same seller as we talked about at the very beginning, and a lot of these parts that we're going to looking at are his. Atlas Craftsman 9 to 12-inch lathe, lead screw support bearing washer and nut kit. You get 2 oil-light self-lubricating washers to replace 10F74 and 75, and a nylock cone lock nut. Less wear on your 10F16 bearing. Also works for the commercial models in place of Okay, let's go and look at this. Now, I've not looked at this that close, but if you go to your local big box store, your local Ace Hardware, these are oil light washers, and you'll have to check on your machine. I don't remember what the size of these are, in all honesty. These oil light washers, there's two of them. You can pull them out of the Ace Hardware bulk drawers, you know, their specialty drawers. Probably Hillman style, you know, if you were to go to McMaster, you can order them in quantities or whatever, which may very well be what he's doing. But you get two oil light washers. I haven't looked at those lately. I would guess they're probably $1.50 a piece, buck, maybe $2. I honestly don't know, but they're not going to be that expensive. I'll try and remember and look. I'll track these down. And then it's a nylock fine threaded nut, which is probably a $2 nut. So $6-8, and you've got the exact same thing. Now, is it that much of an upgrade? Yeah, maybe. But anyway, I think you can do these a lot less expensive yourself than you can some of this stuff that's being presented to us. I'm not going to look at part of this stuff, but Atlas Milling Machine M1567 cutter arbor driver drawbar arbor. This is a used one. They want $60 for this piece of crap. I think I sell new ones, for new reproductions, for $60. These, you'll look at these old ones, they've had a pin punch used instead of the proper spanner on them, and you know, crap. New Atlas Craftsman 9 to 12 inch lathe 10309 bevel pin set for upper swivel. Now these on the 9 through the, or the 10 and the 12 inch, they take the same bevel pins. Go ahead and look at these. They'll take the same bevel pins for the swivels on the 10 and the 12, and for the 10 inch milling attachment, and whatever else fits the boring table that they built for on the lathe for the Atlas and everything. It all takes these same pins. Now these have been radiused on the end, which I don't know that he used to do, but where I just take mine and smooth them down and run them across the buffer to give them, because we're just want a sliding fit for the bearings on the end. And these look pretty good for your $21.99 for the pair of them, and $6.75 shipping. You know, I've sold quite a few sets of mine for $5 for the pair of them, and then shipping. So pays your money, takes your chances. I'm going to skip a lot of this stuff for time, because a lot of these parts I have in the works if I'm not already producing them, and we can compare them more when mine are out there, because it doesn't do me a whole lot of good to trash on the prices of something if I don't have an alternative for you. Now this one I like, and this is now you can buy these individually, or you can buy them as a two-piece set. And I'll be in the shop later. We'll actually build one of these. New Atlas Craftsman 10 to 12 inch lathe 9-69A change gear bolt, new. $9.95 and $5.75 shipping. And I'm not going to produce these, because I'm going to produce these, but not like this. And last one, 7 sold, $9.99. And there we are. Now this one is a little bit different, because this one has a blank shoulder here. But what these are, and what some other guys are selling as these for this change gear bolt, is quite simply a carriage bolt that they've turned off to 5/8 diameter. This is 3/8 16. I think these are 1.5 inches long, if I'm not mistaken, under the head. I guess these are 2 inch. When we compare them to a factory, the factories look just like that. So that's what they are. And there we go. So a lot of the replacements I see being sold are not blanked out here. And I'll have to look and see if I can get, if they're readily available with that are not fully threaded. They go in through a steel insert anyway, so it's not really a wear issue per se. So functionally, it's not going to matter if those are threaded or not, because you're going to, but your gears are going to sit right there on the insert. So that's a project for later today, and that's something that you should, if you need one like that, go over and spend 50 cents a piece, 59 cents a piece, whatever it is, for 2 3/8 by 2 inch carriage bolts. Set them up in your lathe and skim them off. That's all it takes. Head diameter is 5/8 of an inch, and that's your only critical dimensions there. So that's one that, you know, rather than giving $10, you can spend $1 and a half an hour at your lathe and you've got the exact same part. So, and he's got a set of 2 of them right below that for $18 and $6.75 shipping. So yeah, don't be doing that. Here's this same Atlas horizontal milling machine support, arbor support arm and bracket, M19 and M160. He still, this has been listed forever, he still wants $650 for it, for that $50 piece of steel, which your $50 piece of steel is not going to be a rusted up piece of shit like that, and the arbor support. So yeah, I mean, why? He's going to have that forever. I don't know that anybody's smoked enough dope to buy that, unless it was the same guy that was smoking the dope with him when he listed this. 75 bucks. New Atlas Craftsman 912 lathe half split nut ball and springs, set new OEM parts. Now these may be OEM, you know, these may be from Clausing. They probably still offer these. $11.99 and $6.15 shipping. There again, back to your big box store, to your Ace Hardware store. You're going to buy a detent ball. I'll have to figure out the size of these, and you're going to buy a spring out of the drawer. So you're going to spend, what, 69 cents for the detent ball, and you're going to spend another 89 cents for the spring. And it gives you a opportunity to go and pilfer through the Ace Hardware Hillman selections of springs and detent balls and whatever they've got, and figure out what's in those drawers that you can use to build something else with. So for $2, you've got the same thing they're wanting 12 for. Gotta make these to where we can afford to fix them up, to afford to make them usable again. I think that's pretty much everything that I was looking at. Different seller, new Atlas Craftsman, I'm not going to go look. 9 12-inch lathe, 960 pin plunger, and 961 spring ball. So you're buying a spring and a plunger. I guess I am going to go look at it. And this plunger actually looks to be a turned plunger, which is going to be a piece of round stock. Oh, there's a ball there too. So yeah, why would you do that? It's got a spring and it's got a plunger. That's just a round headed, that's probably 1/8 or 3/16 round stock, I would guess. I'll have to go and find out, so that we know, so that we're not being ripped off. Yeah, same spring and plunger is used on the milling. Well, this is a reverse gear case assembly. See, I would guess this is probably the same spring and plunger that they use in the milling machine for the back gear. Shifter would be my guess. Anyway. OEM Atlas Craftsman lathe 10 500 milling attachment vice bolt clamps. Last pair of them for $19.99 and $6.55 shipping. What did I put those out there for? 10, 12, 14 bucks, 10, 12 bucks. I think. I have those in stock both for the 10 and 12 inch and for the 6 inch. Hmm. 10, 12 inch lathe, change gear bolt, sleeve bushing assembly. It's this complete assembly plus the outer gear bushing that's got the 2 keyways in it. They want $42.75 and $7.40 shipping. We're not going to go look at that. Those are all parts that can be made. Do them yourself. 10F lathe threading stop, $129, $129.99, but best offer was accepted. So let's go look at the original listing of that. Yeah, this is that stop. I've got the blanks cut for a small run of these, so I've got to get back on them, but I've got so many of these little projects going. But this is an easy one. You know, we had a listing of somebody that gave us all the dimensions for these. You don't see these too awful often, but they are out there. There again, guys think they can get big bucks for them. And that's all I got for you. So anyway, we're going to go to the shop. We're going to turn out at least one of these little guide bushings just to show how easy it is. And go from there. So anyway, hopefully you can find that a little bit useful. Comments, suggestions, leave them in the comment section for me below, guys. And as always, have a good weekend, and thanks for taking the time to watch.